Hey, Arcturus here. Today we're looking at the miniatures from Honored of the Chapter, a Space Marine Heroes and Bladeguard Veteran and Eradicator set. This set was also included in Dawn of War Onslaught, which you can see in the back there. I'm going to slide this box out of the way, and we'll take a look at the miniatures. So I have another video going into the contents of the Dawn of War Onslaught box, but since this is a very cheap and convenient way to pick up the Honored of the Chapter sprue, I thought I would go over them individually as well. In that set, there are two data cards, or I guess one data card, but is printed front and back for the Chaplain and the Judiciar for use as Bloodraven heroes, but I'm just going to look at them as standard Space Marine units. All of these models are usable in any Space Marine army. They are generic Space Marine units, and there are no extra pieces in this set. They are push fit. So they are monopose and a little less options than the full set will have, which we'll see when we look at the Eradicators. We'll go ahead and look at those last. We'll start off with the heroes. So first up, we have our Chaplain, and I have not had a chance to prime these yet. So first up, we'll look at our Chaplain. Some very nice detail. He is push fit. He does have the Cruzius and then Bolter, as well as a very nice skull halo thing in the back there. Some very nicely detailed model, all sorts of seals and talismans and relics on him. Nice book there in the back. Plenty of seals here on the back of his backpack. There's some nice details here. Just generic Space Marines can use them in any army. Some of them, like using these in Space Wolves, they won't have the little wolf skulls on their armor. They'll just have the standard skulls, but they are usable. Just a very nice model. This is the standard Chaplain, so he does have a 4-up invulnerable save, 6-inch move, tough 4, standard save of 3, up 4 wounds with a leadership of 5+. He can be attached, just from the Space Marine Codex, he can be attached to Assault Intercessors, Bladeguard Veterans, Hellblasters, Infernus, Intercessors, Stern Guard Veterans, and the Tactical Squad. He's armed with the Cruzius Arcanum and Absolver Bolt Pistol. The Bolt Pistol is, of course, the ranged weapon, 18-inch range, hitting on 3s, strength 5, AP -1, damage 2. And then the Arcanum is, of course, a melee weapon with 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 6, AP -1, 2 damage. Now, really what you take Chaplains for is their buff, and this buff gives Litany of Hate. So when he's leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. And once per battle at the start of any phase, you can select one friendly unit of Adeptus Astartes that is battle shocked and within 12 of this model, and they are no longer battle shocked. Now, I normally don't take Chaplains, so I don't have a ton of use for this guy, but he does look cool, and he's a nice sculpt for the Chaplain, so it is worth, I think, picking up. Obviously, if this is the only model you wanted, it probably wouldn't be... Actually, I think it wouldn't quite be cheaper, but it would still be probably worth the extra to pick up the whole box. I'm going to set him off to the side. And then next we will look at the Bladeguard Ancient. This is a pretty cool model. One thing with this one is you do want to be careful when you clip him out, just to not crush the halo here, because it is at the angle. It is not a separate piece, it is just attached to the helmet, and it does clip, the helmet is attached to the sprue by the base of the helmet, which is inside the torso now. But just be careful when you do that so you don't crush it by accident. You can see that on the side there's some of those spikes. I did cut one of those off when cleaning up some of the sprue marks, or a mold line or something. So just be careful when you put these together. That doesn't bother me too much. Just kind of a little bit of battle damage to his standard here. So he does have a sort of relic here in the offhand, and of course his standard. Some nice details, some more seals on his chest here, and then some seals on the banner, as well as symbols and all that sort of good stuff. Some nice detail here on the back of the banner, of course, his pistol there on the back, a nice little skull on his leg plate there, and then a more simple back of the model, but I think the front works quite well. Nice blend of cloth and armor. We're going to get it a bit more in the light there. You see all sorts of nice detail on this model. So this is a Bladeguard Ancient. He can attach to the Bladeguard Veterans, which come in this set. he has a heavy bolt pistol, which is a 1 attack, 18-inch range, ballistic skill 3, strength 4, AP -1, 1 damage. Pretty standard bolt pistol. He also has a close combat weapon with 5 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. And he has the Astartes banner, which while he's leading a unit, he can add 1 to their objective control. And I should have mentioned his stat line. He has 6-inch movement, tough 4, save on a 3+, 4 up invuln, 4 wounds, and leadership 6. He also has Deeds of Heroism, which is once per battle. When this model's unit is selected to fight, this model can use this ability. If it does, until the end of that phase, add 1 to the attack characteristics of melee weapons equipped by models in this unit. So, a nice buff to your already blendery models. Just goes very well with them. So, that is our Bladeguard Ancient. Just a really cool looking model with the pose. And an excellent addition to any Space Marine army, since he is not faction specific, or I guess sub-faction specific. Up next, we have the Judiciar, who is a very popular model because this is the only set you were able to get him in. I believe that's also true for the Bladeguard Ancient, but everything else can technically be picked up separately. Again, for this one, you have this little cross with skull coming off the edge here. You'll want to be careful when clipping that out just so you don't break it, as it'd be very difficult to reattach. So the Judiciar comes with a ranged weapon and a melee weapon. His ranged weapon is the Absolver Bolt Pistol, which is 18-inch range, 1 attack, ballistic skill 3, strength 5, AP -1, and 2 damage. And his melee weapon is the Executioner Relic Blade, which has devastating wounds and precision. So very good against characters. He does 5 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 7, AP -2 for 2 damage. And he also has a 6-inch move, tough 4, save of 3 up with a 4 up invuln, 4 wounds, and leadership 5+. He can lead Assault Intercessors, Bladeguard Veterans, Infernus Intercessors, Sternguard Veterans, and a Tactical Squad. Any of those he can attach to. Just some very nice details here. You do get some extra little bits for the second hole in the base. Since they are push fit, they do have peg and sockets for the base. I do not recommend using the Necron skull here because it's kind of covered by his cloth here. It'd be kind of not easy to get in and probably hard to paint, although you're more than welcome to do as I did and put it on. I did use glue on these models, which I typically do. I don't quite trust the push fit to hold together. You don't have to, at least so they say, but I would prefer not to have to reassemble them. But that's just me. You don't have to do that. For abilities, this guy has the Tempor Mortis, which is, well, this model is leading a unit. That unit has fights first, which is very good. Makes him very popular as a hero. He also has Silent Fury, which is each time this model destroys an enemy character model, until the end of the battle, add 1 to the attack characteristics of its Executioner Blade. Now, I don't believe it's been FAQ'd to be limited, but that is, I think, technically stackable for any number of character models. Although the likelihood of getting this guy to kill them in an actual game is a lot lower than you might think. His ability to give them fights first and just being a blender in combat is much more the reason you would bring him, but he's very good for that. He's also a cool looking model. And only available in the set as of publishing this video. He does have a very nice blend of cloth and armor as well. The only thing I don't like is his head. I do wish he had a fully helmeted option because I don't really like the way the head looks. It is sort of like a mask. Like he has these sort of studs on the top. And I guess technically in that regard it is helmeted because he is sort of a proto-chaplain. But I still don't like it. I just don't like the way it looks. I would much prefer a just standard helmet. Anyway, that is the Judiciar. Up next, we will look at the Bladeguard Veterans. These are a squad of 3, and again, with the halos, do be careful when clipping them out, just in case. You don't want to have to reattach one of those. These guys have 6-inch move, tough 4, 3 up save with 4 up invuln, and 3 wounds and a 6+ leadership. They also come with a heavy bolt pistol and a neo-volkite bolt pistol and a plasma pistol. Now that plasma pistol and neo-volkite pistol is an option for your sergeant, of which you have one in a squad of 6. These guys can go in a squad of 3 to 6, with 1 being the sergeant, so 1 sergeant and 2 to 5 standard Bladeguard veterans. A very nice model. This kit is more limited than the full kit that you can buy separately, as these are push-fit models, so the full kit does have a few other options. But this kit does very well with some nice options for these guys. For melee weapons, they have master-crafted power weapons, which are 4 attacks hitting on 3, strength 5, AP -2 for 2 damage apiece. So pairing them with the Ancient for that extra attack in combat is very good. Pairing them with Fights First ensures that even with their invuln and good save, they will survive to fight in combat again, or at least win the combat most likely. Very useful ability, Fights First. That would be the pretty standard pairing for these guys. They do have an ability, which is at the start of the fight phase, you can select one of the following abilities to apply in this unit until the end of phase, which is Swords of the Chapter. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, reroll a hit roll of run, or Shields of the Chapter. Each time an invuln save is made for a model in this unit, reroll a save of 1, which is very good, and you do get to pick each fight phase. So, very useful. Not as useful in the shooting phase, of course, but very useful in the fight phase. There's some very nice details. I really like the shields on these guys, and I think they look really cool. And I just like how they go together. It's very nice, very nicely done set. So up next, we have the Eradicators. Now, I have done the full set of Eradicators before, which I will show for comparison next to these after we look at these models. So again, this is the easy build kit, so it does have a few less options than the full kit, but I mean, that's not to say that these models are lacking in detail. Seals, pouches, pistols, standard decorations. The sergeant in this case comes without a helmet or a fully helmeted head, but the others do come with full helmets. Some nice tubing there on the head, and that is the sergeant. The downside to the push build kit is they don't have the multi-melta. Now you could, and what I would do is I would just use the sergeant as the guy with the multi-melta, because he's already visually distinct with his helmet. But that is up to you, of course. You might choose not to take the multi-melt. That's up to you. Some nice seals, as I mentioned on the other one. Some pouches. Just goes together very nicely. You could put these together without glue. You can kind of see some glue seams there. Maybe. At least I can see them. Maybe you can't. Yeah, you can just see it glinting in the light there. But you don't have to do them that way. I do them because I just think it goes together better. And then the last one from the easy build kit. So this kit is a lot more similar to the alternate build for the full kit, which I did not do. I did the kit with the tubing. This kit is the canister style, although I think it's still a little different, but I don't remember. But they are pretty similar. So for instance, since you don't get the multi-melta, we'll look at him first. So I built them all with helmets, but you can see they're the same size model, just assembled slightly differently. Slightly different loadout. Obviously, this one has the multi-melta in the tubing. To be honest, I probably wouldn't build another set with the tubing, although I do believe you have to with the multi-melta without a little bit of work to kit bash them. The backpack for this guy is a little bigger, but I believe that's because it has the tubing, although I don't remember. But they are close enough, easily interchangeable. The only real difference is that the barrels on the full kit don't have to be drilled. Although technically you don't have to drill them anyway, but if you wanted the same look, you would need to drill the easy build kit to have that look. Now for a more standard one, as you can see, the backpack is a little bigger on the full kit, but the easy build kit is, not so different from them. And obviously on mine, these have tubing and like a canister and stuff. And so there would be some difference, but you can see the legs are pretty much the same with the way the tubing is. Just some slight differences due to easy build versus standard build. They are the same height and everything, so you don't really have to worry about them being different. But as I mentioned, you do get a few more options. So like here we have a guy with the sort of ARM computer info and, you know, some extra seals. The seals on this you had to add separately. So I did those by hand. That was kind of a pain. I think I did this guy first, which is why he has so many of them. But I don't remember. So, and then to see them on the table. So obviously the full kit is primed, but they are basically indistinguishable from the full kit. So you don't have to worry about them being like out of date or weird looking if you decide to pick this up and use the Eradicators. Now, I don't think I talked about the Eradicator weapons yet. So the Eradicators can all take a bolt pistol and a melta rifle and a close combat weapon. The 1 in 3 models can take the multi-melta. The bolt pistol is a standard bolt pistol, 12-inch range, 1 attack, hitting on 3s, strength 4, damage 1. But the melta rifle, which is what you really bring them for, also has the heavy tag and the melta 2 tag. So it does, if you're within the right range, you do an extra 2 damage, which is great. The flat melta has 1 attack at an 18-inch range, hitting on 3, strength 9, AP -4 for D6 damage. The multi-melta, also heavy, melta 2, also at 18-inch ranges, but has 2 attacks hitting on 4s, strength 9, AP -4, D6 damage. So you do get that extra attack, so you get the extra die to roll to a hit, but you do hit on 4s instead of 3s. That's the main difference there. As I mentioned, squad of 6 with 1 sergeant and 2 to 5 standard eradicators. And then their ability is total obliteration. Each time a ranged attack made by a model in this unit targets a monster or vehicle, you can reroll the hit, reroll the wound, and reroll the damage. And that's per model, not for the unit. So basically, free rerolls for hits, wounds, and damage. So very nice. Definitely worth taking with the multi-melta, in my opinion. As I said earlier, you know, as long as you can distinguish which one has the multi-melta, which is pretty easy for these push builds since there's one that doesn't have a full helmet, nobody should really have a problem with it. It depends on where you play and whether or not you're in a tournament and how much of a stickler your opponent is. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.